Alan here. About a week ago, I released a video on how you can use uh, sensitivity labels and a DLP policy to essentially restrict or block access from Copilot from accessing certain files that you even maybe have access to, but Copilot just becomes off limits to those files that have that label, and that label is then essentially uh, deployed, or the policy deployed using a DLP policy specifically to restrict Copilot's reach. I want to sort of create a short, I think it'd be a pretty short video, a little addendum or an amendment, if you will, to uh, that video, where if you have E5, Compliance E5, or now Purview Suite Premium, or Microsoft 365 E5, you have a tool called DSPM for AI, Data Security Posture Management for AI. Inside of that tool, you've got the ability with literally a single click, pretty much, to deploy such a policy. It does require some advanced licensing on the compliance side. But I think this video will be pretty short, but I just wanted to touch on that there's another way to do what we did in that last video. Let's talk about it. Are in purview.microsoft.com, and so we'll just head over there. Like I said, I don't think this will be a very long video, but I do want to kind of recap just a little bit and kind of catch us up just for a second. So from the outset, what I do currently have is we go down here to, and I can do this any number of ways. I can go here, Solutions, and go down to Information Protection. We'll see Information Protection here. I was just there recently, or I can view all solutions. We're going to go to Information Protection here, and then we're going to go to Sensitivity Labels. Now, I have a label created. In fact, I've got several taxonomy labels here, but we'll see the one in particular that I'm going to use. Now, there's nothing really inherently special about the label itself. All it does is who can access this label, who does it apply to, I guess is a better way to say that, and also who or what does it apply to. So if we click this, we see this Copilot block here. So we'll take a look at this, and we'll see that the name is Copilot block. The label is designed to restrict access to Copilot. That's kind of my description for the users, and also my admin description here. The scope is files and other data assets, sites, and unified groups. So groups, SharePoint groups, team sites, teams, etc. Access control. So I'm controlling basically who does it apply to. In this case, it applies to everybody. Let's just go in. I'm going to look, and I'm going to see if we can edit the label real quick, just so you can kind of see it. I've got this as a black label. That's just the color. We'll see that in a minute. Now here, we're only talking files and other data assets in groups and sites. Now, by default, this is turned off. This is disabled. There's a little bit of configuration that has to happen in order to turn this on. I could apply this to emails and meetings. Not in this case, and also it requires Teams Premium, which I do have. But what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're just going to take a look at just a couple things. So I'm just controlling access. So if I go in here and I say apply permissions now, basically I'm just assigning permissions to everybody in my tenant as co-author. All of that really doesn't matter for what we're doing. I'm just creating this label, not auto apply. Basically auto apply settings and so forth. And so really, again, group privacy level, just not a ton here. Whether the group can be discovered and all that, none of that really matters, because all I'm doing is I'm taking that label and I'm applying it using a couple methods. But what we talked about last time is, we go to Solutions here, we go down to DLP policies, data loss prevention. We'll see that I have, let's go to policies here, just as a recap, we'll see that I have this policy here, Copilot block. And this DLP policy is just simply going in here, see if we can see some of the settings on this one real quick. DLP policy to block doesn't really give me a whole lot of information. I'll just go ahead and edit the policy real quick just as a recap. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can do this much quicker if you want to. So I'm naming the policy, no admin units in this case. We're only applying Copilot. If I were to uncheck this, I could check all of these, but as soon as I check Copilot, everything else goes off. So it needs to really be kind of its own policy, but I'm going to go ahead and just do that, so that's fine. Now, what we have here is here's the block rule. So if I go in and I edit this, we'll see this is just the Copilot block rule in sensitivity labels, Copilot block. So if I say add sensitivity labels, wherever this label is found, this DLP policy is going to pick up. That's sort of the condition, if you will, in this case. So the content contains sensitivity label, Copilot block. Then what? Well, then we can add restrict policy, Copilot for processing the content, right? So this is how the DLP policy is made. And then down here, we can do some sort of reporting and how we want it to do all of that. But that's it. We just take any label. It doesn't matter what the label is. The label has no bearing on what happens. It's just simply a label that says, hey, any sensitivity label, if I were to pick any one of these, even public, which is pretty much open to anybody, it would apply a block to Copilot because of the DLP policy. Okay, that's what we have set up now. I'm going to show you another way to do that if you have E5 compliance or E5, and it is in the solution called DSPM for AI, Data Security Posture Management for AI. So let's take a look at that real quick. Very simple. I've already got my label, so that had to be created inside information protection. That doesn't change. I have to have the label. But now we can do this a little bit differently, because if I go to DSPM for AI, and we come down here to recommendations. Now here's some configuration prerequisites that need to be set up. They're really simple to do. And of course, a lot of things here. We're going to do a session on DSPM for AI, a little more deep dive at a later date. But right now, I'm going to come down here to recommendations, because if I go to recommendations, all I need to do is come down here and say protect items with sensitivity labels from Microsoft Copilot and agent. I believe it's going to say processing. Yes. So essentially, all I have to do is come down here, policy is not yet created, and basically I'm saying anything I want Copilot to prevent from process, or I want to prevent Copilot from processing in any way, this would apply. And so we did this all with a sensitivity label and a DLP policy, but now what we can do is we can go get started. What it's going to do is it's going to basically create this rule for me that we created, that we just went through that DLP a little. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add a sensitivity label, and I'm going to say we're going to add this Copilot label, same one, doesn't really matter. We're going to add it, and then all I have to do is create policy. It's going to, in the background, it's going to go and it's going to create automatically that DLP policy that you just saw us create or walk through the creation of. It's going to do this automatically for us. Once this is done, we'll pop over to our DLP section. It's done. So let's go to, here's the policy details. Okay. It's in testing mode. Now let's go over to edit in the solution. What it's going to do is it's going to bounce us over to, the DLP solution. So here's DLP, the data loss prevention. We're going to go to policies here, and we shall see this policy show up. And here it is, DSPM for AI, protect sensitive data from Copilot processing. Now, the data doesn't necessarily have to be sensitive. It's just kind of assuming that's the case. But really, it is where that policy finds the label. It's going to apply a block of Copilot. If I were to dig into this, it's exactly the same. Now, it is testing without notifications on. The mode is not on. It's also currently syncing. That means it is basically ensuring that the affected services are aware of this policy. OneDrive, SharePoint, groups, SharePoint sites, things like that. It's going to, that's what the sync is doing now. If we were to go into this, I can go in, let's go in, let's edit this policy, because I can go in and make some changes to this policy if I want to. For example, maybe I don't want that name. I can change that. We can also, of course, this all looks familiar, looks just like our other DLP policy. The rule, protect sensitive data from Copilot processing. It may not have to be sensitive. I can change the rule itself. But again, all of this should look exactly like what we saw before. And of course, we can adjust the rules and all of that, or the alerting. So we'll go ahead and save. I can run it in simulation mode, or I can go ahead and just turn it on immediately. And if you recall, just as a recap, the data we're talking about here is if we were to go to our SharePoint site here, we'll see that the default label for this SharePoint site is this entire organization. However, if we were to go to the documents here and open a particular document that I've applied a label, this block label to, which is this one here, and this is opening in the online version or the browser version, we'll see that Copilot's not going to be able to give it any kind of summary because it's essentially been blocked, because it does have that label right here, right? So that's what we see. And of course, this is all true should we try to open this from a desktop application as well. So we'll go ahead and give this a look. Pretty much going to be the same thing. We see the Copilot block label there. We see this auto summary by Copilot. It's just not going to give us any information because of the policy that is in place will not allow Copilot to access this. So this is something that you could apply to an entire site, to a document library, to files, folders inside SharePoint. All of that works just as well. In this case, I just did it to a single file. So anyway, the point of this is that we, using DSPM for AI and the solutions recommendations here within this DSPM, once we have a label in place, we can essentially create a DLP policy automatically with pretty much a single click that says anything that has that label, do not allow Copilot to access it. Very quick, very simple. So that's it. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and just wanted to give you a little extra, another way to do what we did last week with using DLP policy manual creation and a label versus an E5 compliance using DSPM for AI to essentially single click create that policy for you. So hope it's been helpful, and I'd like to thank you for watching.